definitely wouldn't be here?
Laura Lynn Wyatt from the supervisor's office will not be here tonight.
Yeah, she couldn't make it earlier for our chamber Zoom meeting either.
So, any word from Jim or?
Haven't heard from Jim. Sanini's got some kind of technical problem, and I need to take some time to sit down and sort out what that is. I asked the question and I didn't really get an answer.
Well, a lot of people are afraid of Zoom still. They just not in the technical world. Gino will.
Yeah. I think Donna will be here in a bit. She was trying to get off work. I guess whoever takes over for her had not gotten in here yet. So she could pop into the meeting. So anyway, let's call the meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. And we'll forego doing attendance because it looks like it's pretty sparse. Anyone want to make a motion to adopt the agenda as published?
Brennan, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Who's that? Is that
Aye.
you? Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. We're going to skip over the minutes because we had problems with our last month's meeting, and so I didn't bother to put the minutes together. But we can kind of do a little bit of a recap. Okay, moving down into community leader reports. Laura Lynn White, as we mentioned, is not going to be here tonight. There's nobody else yet from the other places. So, Jack, you get the floor.
Oh, wow. So lucky. First up. I'm honored. Chamber, not a lot going on. Well, actually, we're going to be doing some remodeling, so we're going to be closed until we get the remodel done. We had that broken pipe, so all the carpet's got to come out, and we're going to get some new computers. We had one computer damaged, and we're going to be pulling all the flooring out and putting in new flooring. We're probably going to repaint the walls and get some new lighting and furniture and stuff like that in there anyway. I did send out a sponsorship letter to some corporates. EDF is sponsoring $1,000 towards the chamber, and S-Power has offered $3,000 sponsorship, and I haven't heard of the other entities yet. So, but we're hitting the corporates trying to get up some money to redo the chamber sides. We want to turn it into, my legacy was the business center, and that's kind of Gene's legacy now too, actually. That's his mission as well. He wants to modernize it in here and bring it into a nice, inviting business environment altogether. So it's more inviting to bring in members and businesses, and also utilize the business center as a local business center. They want to copy or fax or use the computers for something if they're out of town, maybe. And so just turn it into an actual business center. Of course, the windows and doors are new or installed, and so I got to get that grant closed out, waiting for some financial information from our treasurer in order to close that. But we do have 2 other grants open. Considering how business got increased in terms of cement work, we've had a hard time finding a contractor that do the cement privately or professionally, and the grants are $10,000, so it's really not going to cover everything we need to do. So we're having to downscale what kind of cement we're going to have laid And then I guess next round of grants, we're just going to have to ask another grant shot at all this and get that. As far as the solar goes, Gene working on permitting. That's going to take a while because he's going to have to deal with not only the permitting, but that's going to get approval from all kind of stuff. That's all kind of in the works, but it's going to take a while. We did have a ton of sagebrush, tumbleweeds, all in the event center. A bunch of us went over and we cleaned all that up, and now we got like mounds and mounds and mounds of sagebrush. We're trying to determine whether get a burn permit and just burn it, or if Gene's going to have to come over and trailer it all to the dump or what. I don't know. I know it's legal to let it blow away, but I think Eric would be a little upset if we did that. Having his fence all lined up with sagebrush, if there's not some already, you know, but he wants to clean up. But that's pretty much it. One question I did have for you, Bill, is I know we went to red status talking to Laura, and so the restaurants have opened up to 25% capacity now. All business open up with 25% capacity. I don't know if that includes the fitness centers yet or not, but so I don't know when they're going to open up to 50, 75%, or 100%. Have you had any word as to when we might resume meetings at Humma Hall?
Oh, nothing official yet. And to be honest with you, Jack, I think we will be lucky if we're in there by March of next year.
Yeah, I'm thinking summer of next year.
Yeah.
May, June, something like that. So that was my guess. So I'm just planning on, or at least the chamber is. I think we're pretty much going to not see any activity meeting-wise our end for middle of next year. And it'll probably be the same thing for opening up the chamber because we got so much modeling to do. And it's a good time for it, actually. When we do reopen both this. But that's pretty much it. Anybody have any questions?
I'm kind of
I have a
wondering.
question, Jeff.
Well, you go ahead.
Dennis.
I was just wondering who at the county level would be able to tell us what criteria they need to have to reopen Humble Hall.
Well, you got to remember we're in Kevin McCarthy's district, which our governor is not exactly real favorable of. So apparently they keep changing our numbers for Kern County in order for us to reopen further, even though I've been graphing and watching everything, and the numbers are going down.
That doesn't answer my question. Who says someone who runs Humble Hall should be able to know, okay, we've reached this threshold, now we can reopen Humble Hall? I'm wondering who would have that information.
Well, it's still going to come at the supervisory level regardless, because it's going to be state mandated as to when they can open up, and they have the liability.
Well, answer the question. Yeah, I got you.
General services.
General services.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Lisa's got that answer. But
Yeah.
I'm in there a lot. I'm in
Even
there a
general
lot.
services isn't going to do anything though until the state releases it.
No, we got that, Jack. I'm just wondering which office to go to. I understand about that other
It's
stuff.
okay. Calm down. Calm down.
Hey, Jack, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah. Okay, so our welcome to Roseland sign, I know you and I have talked about it a few times.
Yep.
And I know that it was repainted and then it got graffitied again.
Yep.
So, and I know that it was a plan to be repainted, I think, again. So, can I pay for a piece of plexiglass to go over that? So then we can just like power wash it off next time it gets spray painted?
Well, we are going to get it painted. We that was part of our chamber meeting. We had a board meeting this week, actually, on Tuesday. And I was asking Jed about his truck broke down. Both of his trucks broke down. Jed Strain. And he went out and did some work on it, but he was going to go out and actually repaint whatever portions need to be repainted on that. So the new painting he's going to be using is supposed to be easy to clean off. So I don't think it'd be that big of an issue, Lisa.
So you don't think a piece of plexiglass on it would help?
Well, I didn't say it wouldn't help, but
well, that's what she's really asking.
Yeah.
We got to paint it first, though. I mean,
yeah. But can I go up there and measure? And
I'm making your life difficult tonight, Dennis.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lisa. Go ahead. You're breaking up.
Sorry. I know I'm sitting outside. I just wanted to know because it gets spray painted a lot. It gets painted over a lot. And I know that it costs you guys money and Jet's time and stuff. So I'm willing to pay for a piece of plexiglass to go over the whole thing, like drill it in, so then you can just power wash off the paint if it happens. I mean, I don't know how to stop it from happening. It's just a suggestion.
Well, I'm just curious, though, if it will power wash off plexiglass or not. You know, I mean, depending on what kind of paint you use, it may or may not wash off.
Well, it sounds like the real pressing question is what's the best solution so we don't have to keep getting this thing repainted? Is it the type of paint we use? Is there some kind of a coating we can put on it? Is it because really the plexiglass, maybe that's not the best coating. Maybe there's some kind of a clear coat that goes on. You see what I'm saying, Jack?
That's what we were discussing with Jed was to what kind of coating we can put on there to where we don't have to deal with this, where we can just wash it. So we've already had that discussion with Jed, and he's trying to work on a coating to put over that when he gets it painted, so that we don't have to go through this all the time.
All right. Well, that's the question.
Okay.
Yeah. Because what she's saying is, I'd be happy to help, because we'd like to have that easily washed off again. And she was assuming the plexiglass is the way to go, but maybe it's not. Maybe there's some other. I would have envisioned some kind of a.
I don't know. I was just trying to think of some way to get it from stop happening.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, your suggestion was good. It's just that I know that plastics with certain paints, it's not going to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really, probably just some kind of a top coat or a clear coat or something.
Exactly.
To seal it so it won't be messed up again.
Well, that's my thought, because I grew up painting houses with my dad, so I'm pretty familiar with coatings that'll wash off easily. Yeah.
So the graffiti that's going on, is that with your leftover paint from when you helped your dad, Jack, or?
Probably is. I just left it out front of my garage and it disappeared.
Oh, gee. Oh, glad you're taking care of it, pal.
Yeah. I did clean up my garage the other day for the first time in 11 years I've been living in this house, and it was nice. And then as soon as I get it all cleaned up, I throw a rod in my Mitsubishi, so I'm going to have to pull the engine out and rebuild that. So now at least I got a spot to rebuild it.
Okay, any other questions for Jack?
Nope.
Okay. Let's go and move on along here. Antelope Valley Citizens for Responsible Use of Water. Randy, you have the floor.
Okay, just a few things. By the way, Jack, I heard in a different forum a couple of weeks ago, there's a nationwide shortage of cement. And
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, the person attributed that, he had heard that it had to do with major construction in China that was using up all the worldwide supply of cement, so it was hard to get, and when you get it, it's more expensive. So I don't know.
Well, that kind of makes sense, because I'm seeing that with a lot of other things too. For readily available stuff is tripled in price, and you just can't get it. Not.
Okay, as far as water goes, the Department of Water Resources water year, ended September 30th, and overall, Northern California was drier. Southern California was a little bit above average, but the overall average precipitation was about 63% of normal in the state of California. However, from a supply, and the snowpack was only about 50% of average as of the 1st of April when they last measured. And that's the 10th smallest snowpack in California since 1950. and the reservoirs receive just a third of the water runoff from precipitation and snowmelt that they did during the same time a year ago. However, from a storage standpoint, it's pretty good because the reservoir storage, we've got still quite a bit in the reservoirs from the wet 2019 that we had. And through the end of September, we're about 93% of average for the reservoirs. The one that's probably the most important to us that from the State Water Project that flows out of the aqueduct is the San Luis Reservoir. It's at about 47% capacity, but it's about 95% of historical average, so it's not bad. And that's where most of the water that comes through our part of the aqueduct and so on comes from. That's where the reserves are held, any carryover from before. As far as the future, there's a lot of predictions. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is basically predicting continuing La Nina, which means that it's probably going to be pretty much drier through the southern tier of the U.S. and cooler and wetter conditions in the north of the U.S. About something like 45% of the continental U.S. is now experiencing some form of a drought. Their maps are showing their prediction, kind of the southern half of California along the coast as far as no drought. Going a little bit further inland to include us, they're showing they're predicting it's going to be abnormally dry. Overall, the precipitation predictions are wetter than average conditions along the northern tier of the U.S., along the Great Plains and Great Lakes and in the Ohio valleys and so on, but a greater chance for drier than average conditions in the southwest, across Texas, along the Gulf Coast, and in Florida. So from a supply standpoint, we're okay. Probably going to be less precipitation than normal again. And so that's about what their predictions are. They haven't done an allocation yet, but it probably not going to be a shortage during the water year as far as water coming down through the aqueduct and other sources, just because the reservoirs are still fairly decent. And most of the folks that can, including AVAC, of course, have been banking quite a bit of water. Not as much recently because there hasn't, again, from the low precipitation, but they've got quite a bit of water bank, several years worth of water bank right now. And that's about it, unless there's any questions.
I don't have any questions. Does anyone else?
I'm good. Thank you, Randy.
Okay. John, do you have anything you'd like to tell us?
No, I really don't. Everything I know will be in the Rosemont News in the morning. My slate is clean right now, but I appreciate you're putting this together. It's working well.
Well, we hope to get better every month. I ultimately want to be able to run a feed of this out to YouTube so that we can make sure that it's broadly available to the public.
Any live stream to YouTube from Zoom?
I don't know. I'm kind of researching that. I know that you can do it from Facebook. So I'm assuming that if you can do it from Facebook, you should be able to do it from Zoom.
The reason I was asking is I heard somebody mention they were live streaming YouTube on some events, and I didn't know that YouTube had that capability now. I thought it was all posting videos.
No, they can. You can do live.
I know St. Mary's Church broadcasts their Sunday masses on YouTube, and it's basically a simulcast that they're doing.
Yeah, we do ours on Facebook.
By the way, I've got a few words about Edwards.
Sure.
Go
ahead, Randy.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I forgot to print out the email I saw earlier. Last week was the virtual air show. The first 4 days, Monday through Thursday, were STEM related, and the Antelope Valley East Kern STEM Network that I'm a part of. We did a STEMposium in the afternoons and so on. Had a number of guest speakers, and I apologize, I didn't think, but they had. I've seen the result. They had tens of thousands of folks that from the early morning to mid-afternoon was different grade levels. They had I think it was first through third grade or kindergarten through third. Then they had middle school, and then they had high school, and then, like I said, the symposium towards the end of the day, each of the first 4 days. And they had tens of thousands of students signing in. And they had at least 1 hour a day was for Spanish-speaking students. They had thousands that signed in for that. Network is Univision, something like that. Anyway, that they did some interviews. They want to interview some more people, so that the Spanish part was very successful. And then Friday and Saturday they had the both a virtual air show where people could tune in and see a lot of the tours that they gave virtually, and they had tens of thousands of people doing that. And then they had the aircraft flying, of course, Friday and Saturday. And I think they estimated they overflew something, I forget the exact number, something like 700,000 people in those 2 days as far as the actual flying overhead and so on like that. So overall it was apparently very successful for something that, they only had a few months to do all that planning to make all of that happen. And so both the educational aspects of it and the air show aspects of it, apparently they were highly satisfied with a lot of people tuning in and learning about it.
I saw their live stream show, and tell them out there if you talk to them, they did a fantastic job on their live stream. It really came across seamless and clear, and no technical issues that I saw. So they did a really good job on that.
Yeah, they get a lot of positive comments already. Great.
Okay. We have no guest speaker tonight. We'll go into community announcements. Does anyone have any community announcements?
Go Trump.
Are you still affiliated with the VFW, Lisa?
Yes.
Anything on the Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving baskets will go out this year, for sure. For VFW members only, or veterans only. I know in years past, it's been we've done a lot of school and families, like lower income families. We've decided that we're going to have to keep it actually for just our veterans this year, due to COVID happening and it being a smaller product that we're going to be able to put out. So, but we are doing it for our veterans and all our members and stuff. Yes.
Are there any Halloween events going on this year?
So as far as Halloween events that I know of, the only one I know of is Coaches is doing a trunk or treat from 4 to 9. That's the only thing I know about.
So are you actively soliciting donations for your Thanksgiving stuff? Or what's...
We will be accepting donations. We haven't put out that we're accepting donations, but we're ready to start doing that probably this next week or two.
What is a trunk or treat?
Trunk or treat is where the community is coming together and going to do their trunks, like decorate their trunks and have like
Trunks
candy for the children. Trunks of their cars. Yeah. And go around like trick-or-treating, but go into your trunk instead. They're going to space out the cars and try to do social distancing and stuff like that.
That's cute.
They were going to strap dinners on the back, but they realized it was so scary nobody would show up.
Well, and the
all
wheels
kids
would pop right up.
And I'm having protests outside my house and giving out free candy. So, if you have any kids, you're more than welcome to come protest my house.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to set bags of candy out front in the driveway with me and the neighbors, and just let them come and grab them.
Yep. So we'll give bags to daddies.
Okay.
I think we should honestly do a parade of cars passing out candy, to tell you the truth, but that's my idea. Nobody wants to listen to that. Like the adults should drive around and throw candy to the kids. That's a good idea.
It wouldn't be the first time that either Jack or Bill have driven around in their cars and thrown candy at kids. I'll tell you.
I'm sure.
So I'm going to use compressed air and some PVC pipe.
There you go. There you go.
Have like a candy cannon, kind of a candy bazooka thing. And
Those old
R12
R12 cans come in handy for that.
Because I think a roll of Lifesavers is just about the right inside diameter to fit into a 3/4 inch PVC pipe.
The paintball gun.
Well, boy, who says these meetings aren't productive?
Hey.
Okay, let's go ahead and get into the business meeting.
Candy bazooka.
Last meeting, we set up the Disaster Preparedness Committee for earthquake, fire, and/or civil unrest. Brendan Riley graciously volunteered to be the chair of that. And he's being joined by Dennis Schaffner and Donna Morris. And I know that, Brendan, you had a meeting the other day a little bit, and I don't know if you got more done than just chit-chat, but at this point.
And I'm happy to report that though the meeting was separate with Donna and Dennis, we did take a couple of action items, and Donna's going to go look for her community emergency response team information that we had from a few years back that had things like evacuation routes and supplies you should keep on hand in case the big one happens. And then when I spoke with Dennis, he was willing to go off and work with other organizations in Rosemont to see what type of plans they had and if there was a spot where we could fill in any holes that might be in their plans. So we have not reconvened since that meeting, but I plan on meeting again next week to see how far we've progressed.
And to let you know, Brendan, you can use Zoom. You can use our account that we have for Rmac for these committee meetings if you would like.
Okay, I appreciate that. The Facebook meeting room seemed to work fairly well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Facebook, what was it called? Group or something? Join?
Yeah, the groups.
Room.
Yeah, they have a Facebook chat.
Rooms is what.
And it probably works okay. But we also have the Zoom account, which I have paid for. So all you got to do, Brendan, is let me know what day you want to do a meeting, and I'll go ahead and plug the meeting in, and I'll get you the meeting ID and the passcode, and you can pass it on to your committee, and that way you can use it to do that business. That way.
Yeah. Well, the Facebook chat worked well, I thought.
Okay.
I think personally, the Zoom is the most stable environment, really, to have these types of meetings.
Dennis, there was he was young at the time, many years ago, gentleman in environmental that you probably knew that he retired, I think, within the last couple of years. He came and spoke at a different group I'm a member of, probably within the last year. He's involved in the Lancaster CERT. You would know him, but I can't think of his name. He was fairly tall, thin, longish hair.
Mark?
Yeah, Mark Hagan.
Mark Hagan.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
he's involved with the CERT?
Yeah. He came and talked to one of our other groups, like I said, within about the last year, obviously not in the last 6 months or so, but he's big in the Lancaster. I can't remember if it was all of Antelope Valley, but it's certainly in Lancaster area.
I thought it was primarily LA County for what he was doing. Here locally, the RCSD, when I talked with Steve Perez, has done quite a bit of work, and they're working to do more. Not really in the charter per se, it's really more in ours, but they really have more in the way of resources. So I volunteered to work with them. Our committee is more than willing to help any way we can with that effort. The idea is ultimately, as a basis for all this, is whatever we can do to help make Roseland a better place to live and work is what we want to do. If they're already working on this effort, and then we can maybe help corral others and get them all to the table. And one of the things that I know he's working on is reciprocal agreements. There's a name for that we used to have with between the base and sheriff and medical and fire, mutual aid kinds of thing. So getting a handle on all that and they're working to understand what resources we have already, and then identify shortfalls, and then work towards solving them. So, but the hard part, of course, with any of this is getting the right people together.
Yeah, well, Mark was volunteering to help in any way he could or something like that. We didn't talk to him specifically about Rosemont or anything else. It was our national active retired federal employees that he came to one of our chapter meetings. But he might be a good source.
Jack, weren't you involved in one of those before?
For specifically what?
For Roseland, weren't you involved in one of the emergency response?
Not sure. I think I attended one, but I really didn't have much involvement. It didn't go very far at the time. And
okay.
Yeah, I think that was Greg Wood, I think, at that time or something, was doing something with that.
Okay.
And that didn't go.
Okay, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Brennan. I'd like to go ahead and move on to the next item, committee, for the Rosemont Municipal Advisory Council 15th anniversary on March 6th, 2021. I asked Laura Lynn to do a little questioning of Zach's office for us to find out what we can do in the way of recognition and kind of a small celebration, as it were, for the 15 years that this council has been in force. Some things that I had thought about was some type of recognition awards for the various directors, and then those that maybe stood a little higher up on the thing, a little more involved in it, maybe something a little more significant in the way of recognition. I've got, I think, a fairly good list of who has been on the council over the years, but I'm still trying to vet that with various people to make sure that we do have it. I don't know how to treat someone who may have come in and filled in a term for someone, what minimum amount of time they should have served before that we give them some kind of recognition. So any suggestions you guys might have on that, I certainly would appreciate hearing them. And Lisa, while I got you here, and so that you don't disappear, because I notice your image keeps jumping around the screen here.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Sorry.
I need some assistance with some of that if you would like to be in the committee with me.
Okay.
I think it was Dennis messing with us.
For sure.
Okay. And I'm going to try to get Jim Johnson. I believe, and Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Jim Johnson was once upon a time on Rmac before, right?
Who was?
Jim Johnson.
Yes. He was one of our founding members.
He was one of the founding members also? Okay.
I believe he was a charter member, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The charter group is going to get very special recognition, and that's why I want to make absolutely certain we have them correct.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about Dennis, but everybody else.
Yeah.
No.
We told you we was going to strap him on the back of a truck for a trick or trunk or treat.
Yeah. Lovely kick in the trunk.
Yeah. I don't know how the county is going to react to this. The county may say, no, you're just a city organization. You don't get to do anything like this. But if it does, then we'll do it privately then.
I think those people that are charter members and who have stepped to complete other terms are deserving of special honor. Just saying.
Are you raising your hand?
Subtle hint on your part, Dennis. I liked it. Okay.
Close to golden aura.
Okay. But anyway, if you have some suggestions, see either me or Lisa and let us know, because I'm not looking to make this a major evolution in the community. I just want to recognize the people that have stood up to try to be that conduit between the community here and the Board of Supervisors. This is not an easy job because they don't give you any money for travel. They don't do this. They don't do that. And it takes a special person to be willing to go hop in their car and drive to Bakersfield and complain. Social visit is, not so difficult. But when you want to go up there and you want to complain because they're not showing any attention,
Right.
It takes a special person for that, because some folks react to, when they see someone on the Board of Supervisors, they tend to maybe act more deferential, and because they're concerned that maybe they might hurt the community, and I can understand that. But I think we really need to start becoming the squeaky wheel.
Well, there's kind of two sides to what you're saying there. I mean, Rmac is the advisory to the county, but then again, Rmac is the community itself. So I mean, community itself should have a celebration of community members, what they've done, what they've accomplished, and they should be recognized for it, because part of the reason why this community does not participate in a lot of things, because there is no recognition of the community itself and its individual members as to what they do contribute to the.
Any opinions, Lisa?
I have lots of opinions. But anyways, yes.
Any of them suitable for a family journal?
Of course. Lots of them are. No, I think everyone should be recognized, especially the ones who have stepped in. Because that's not easy to step into someone's place, first of all. But second of all, the county will go for it without a problem, I don't think.
I think they're willing to also do some reimbursement for some things.
If I can get them to agree to do this barbecue to reopen the pool, I can get them to agree to do something for our community for our birthday.
Well, I'm hoping Laura can deliver the mail on this, so I'm hoping that she'll come in next month and have all kinds of good information for us.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Community on adjustment of Rmac boundaries. I did get, through Laura, I got yet another map of the community of Rosemont, and it's probably the closest to a municipal map of all the ones that we've looked at so far, with the eastern boundary being Edwards, northern boundary being Dawn Road, south boundary being Avenue A, and then the western boundary being 90th Street West. And apparently that came into play around 2016, 2018, somewhere in there. And then prior to that, it was apparently just 60th Street. But I'm putting all this onto a map. For those that were concerned about us and taking over the entire District 2 area, when you lay all of these different maps out on the District 2 map, it's like just sticking your toe into the bathtub. it's hardly anything. So I can't picture anyone being overly upset about us talking about boundaries and looking at expanding them. I do have an ulterior motive, and that is I ultimately want to see the population for Rosemont become larger so that we get more tax money down here in this corner. Every year I think to buy a bottle of soda pop and a piece of bubble gum. So anyway, let me get off my
Something to chew on.
Huh?
Something to chew on.
Yeah. Anyway, should have something for us next month to look at, and we can talk about the different boundary lines and stuff like that. And guys, tell me if you think that I'm getting carried away with it, if you think that we should stay small, tell me that and explain to me why you think that doing all this is not going to be a benefit. But I just personally believe that we need to start flexing our muscles, and show that we want to one day be a city. I know we're not going to be a city probably in my lifetime, but I do want to make sure that we have planted some stakes and drawn out some lines and said, hey, this is what you guys should be looking at. And I think if we do that, we will be doing a service to our community. Okay, moving on. Old business. No update on the office, COVID-19. Rmac goals and project status. One item that I'm getting a little bit more information on, and just want to pass this on to you. The Highway 14 off-ramp at Rosemont Boulevard. Phase 2 traffic survey. I've been talking with Caltrans about this. They're supposed to come back with something to me early next week regarding that work. This is to finish that overpass and make it truly ADA compliant. There's still some areas there that are not quite run. Okay. And that's all I have an update on at this point for that. Okay. New business. Rosemont Mojave Rehabilitation Project. I'm sure you all have gotten something in the mail talking about the work on the 14 freeway between Dawn Road and the other side of Bacchus Road. I mean, so is Bacchus or Silver Queen? I think it's Silver
Queen.
Yeah. So anyway, the construction is set to begin October 2020. Right now, they're supposed to be doing reinforcement work on the shoulders, because what's going to end up happening is they'll be shutting down traffic in one set of lanes, shutting it down and putting that traffic, for example, the northbound, they'll be moving it over to the southbound side, and it'll be partitioned off, and it will be basically a 2-lane road through that area from just this side or just south of Dawn Road all the way up through the work area to the north side of Silver Queen. And the specific parameters on this, the State Route 14 between Mojave and Roseland beginning 1.4 miles south of the Dawn Road overcrossing to 0.54 miles north of the Silver Queen Road overcrossing. What to expect? State Route 14 will remain open at all times with traffic reduced to 1 lane in each direction through the construction area. Construction hours are scheduled Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and on Friday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. traffic speeds will be reduced to 55 miles an hour through the construction area. Construction is estimated to take 2 years. The public should expect night work and off-ramp closures. Caltrans will provide periodic updates on quickmap.com.ca.gov. As I told the point of contact at Caltrans, that work is one thing. I can understand the scope of it. What I'm worried about is what happens when something happens with the 5 freeway. Because we get all that heavy vehicle traffic over here on the 14, and Caltrans understands what I'm saying. They said, yes, we know we're going to have to manage that. So I'm hoping that means there won't be inordinate delays on there. But I think as we get into the winter months, and if we get snow on the grapevine, we're going to have problems there. And people are not going to be happy. Okay. Any items to be referred to the agenda?
Well, we probably need to examine whether to hold a meeting in December or not.
Okay, we should be prepared to talk about that in November, right?
Right.
Okay.
I'm hoping to have an update next time on who we should be dealing with at the base concerning the bypass road, from 10th down to either Patterson or Avenue A. Dave Smith, who was our point of contact, or who was supposed to be working with Zach and Lorelei about getting DOD base access funding, has now gone to Plant 42. And the last I heard, which was just a few days ago, they have not selected a replacement for him yet. So until they do, we're probably in limbo. But I've attempted several times to call Plant 42, but then I got to thinking, wait a minute, it's the air show. They're probably busy with other stuff because I just couldn't get through. So I'll keep trying with that, and we'll hopefully have an update next time. It would be nice to have a point of contact that we could reach out to at least get find out what they're doing. We probably ought to reach out to Zach's office and ask that question of them also, just to continue expressing interest in solving the problem. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and the more we bring it up, the better we're all going to be. I know that it's going to be expensive, but I know that there's money that can be accessed, and I know that the county is short. So we have some challenges here, not the least of which are the getting the rights of way, for the easement. I'm not sure. Yeah, I get those terms confused. Randy probably understands this better than anybody. But in order to get the easement, you have to have a right of way, or the other way around. I'm not sure which is which. But they don't necessarily have access the whole way down 10th, either Patterson or Avenue A. There's our CSD has sewer covers every so often because the line goes down there to that plant. But beyond that, so it's I know they probably have to take something. It's going to be expensive to acquire all that, I think, and it's going to take some time. Assuming that they go along with the plan that we should send a letter to them about, expressing our interest in paving that road, since there's not going to be money for an overpass probably for decades, or an underpass as far as that goes at the railway crossing. So there's that. So anyway, we need to figure out who best to reach out to there at the base for this kind of thing. We don't have an answer yet. His position has not been filled, last I heard. Remember when you and I talked about that, Randy?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some colonel who is sort of standing in, kind of, but it's not really. He's not the official guy at this point. So that I don't think it's an SES. I think it's a 14 or 15, but for band 4, whatever they call it now.
Yeah, I believe that's what Dennis was. Yep. Not Dennis, David.
David, yeah. Pretty sure he was a 4. So, but if anybody would have a handle on that, Dave would, and it's just a question of getting a hold of him.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and move into the director's comments. Brendan, do you have anything?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Lisa?
No, not at this time.
Dennis, do you have anything else?
No, those are the main things. Well, I'm very anxious for our meetings to be held in person again. You know, this is, at least we're doing some kind of a meeting, but man, is this frustrating.
Yes. I don't think you'll get any argument from anyone about that, but I guess the best way of describing these meetings is it's better than nothing.
That probably is the best way to put it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dennis. I do want to talk about one thing. I imagine a lot of people are more optimistic about what's going to happen as it relates to the coronavirus. I am not an optimist on this at all. I don't believe there's going to be a vaccine this year. I don't believe that the vaccine is going to achieve approval status before late spring of next year. And I don't think it will be available in sufficient quantities until probably late summer, early fall of 2021.
Right.
So what does that mean? I think what it means is this is our new normal. These meetings are part of that new normal. I think the disruption to everyone's lives is part of the new normal. I don't know about anyone else, but there are places I want to go and I can't feel like chewing the bark off the tree. So I just had there. And what I'm really concerned about is the education of our children. Our children are not getting a very good education right now. The ones that have high-speed internet will probably be okay, assuming that they have the motivation. But I'm worried about the 65% of children in this community that do not have internet access or do not have adequate internet access.
And Bill, not to interrupt you, but didn't I see an article today that said public schools are opening October 27th in California?
I have heard that. I know that Rosemont, I think, is working to move theirs to reopening, but I haven't seen anything, and I'm not convinced that we're going to be able to keep them open. I have to tell you, I'm the pessimistic pragmatist or the pragmatic pessimist. Your choice. But I don't see full-time school anytime soon.
Well, I had a cruise booked for this month, actually. And I saw the writing on the wall months ago, and I actually pushed my cruise off until May of 2022. I knew there wasn't going to be anything resolved until at least middle or late next year, for political reasons as well as medical reasons. The second thing, too, is this pandemic, actually, there's a good side to it, as it's actually made visible efficiencies in our society in terms of technology, procedures, types of things and other disaster. that nobody is ready for. And even having this meeting tonight online, I mean, I got charters, got great bandwidth. A lot of people, if they're in a neighborhood or apartment building where you got 50 people on the same trunk, you know, then they just lose their entire bandwidth. And that falls back in terms of the school for online learning. You know,
They can't keep up.
possible. Yeah, they can't, because you get 100 kids in an apartment building all at the same time and trying to access online learning, and it's just not going to happen. And I've seen that over and over again. I mean, I do that with we do a live stream. I'm president of the AV Guitar Society, and we do a monthly live stream and with performers and 30-minute slots. Even then, you see the good connections, you see the bad connections, and when you get too many people, start robbing bandwidth, and it just doesn't work. So the infrastructure is not there to deal with this kind of pandemic and the kind of issues it's raised from this pandemic.
Right.
What I would like us to do, this is probably a real big thing to try to pull off, but it would be nice to try to figure out some way of providing internet access into some of these underserved areas. But I don't know how to approach an internet service company and
So I did talk to HughesNet.
okay.
I did talk to HughesNet. I called them. I talked to their sales department. Their sales department manager was supposed to call me back. She never has. That was 2 weeks ago. I will give them a call though tomorrow to try to do an update with them. But then I also found there's a new company out here called 0360. It's an internet-based web company, or internet satellite-based internet. So they have pretty good internet service. I know a few people who have that out here. So I'm going to give them a call tomorrow too and see if we could set something up.
Well, that's the premise of the new 5G network, is why that's so critical, is because with the 5G network, I mean, what the future plans are is, instead of us signing up to, say, a cable provider, everything's going to be 5G bandwidth, and then they'll be selling subscriptions that'll just be basically wireless across the board.
But Jack, you know that family that's on minimum wage living out there on Bacchus Road that has 6 kids, they're not going to be able to afford 5G out there.
No, but I mean, the object is when that happens, which is really the only thing that can happen, that and satellite, is then you have to work on public programs that provide a service for these types of families that can't afford it, where they can get maybe a free access or something like that. It's I mean, if they can get a free phone, why can't they get free 5G access for full purpose?
AT&T does offer that. The problem is that AT&T does not access half of Roseland. There's no access to AT&T for half of Roseland. AT&T is only within the township limits. They don't go to the outer skirts.
Right, and that's why the 5G tech.
And you don't get AT&T.
Well, that's why the 5G technology. And it's not going to roll out right away. It's still going to be, 2 to 4 years before that even moves out.
Right.
Earlier this year, Google was doing free Wi-Fi rural hotspots all over California. Have any of y'all looked at that by any chance? And I think it was like April, but they were targeting exactly that issue.
I'll have to check on that, Stephanie. I had not
I didn't know that either.
heard about that. So
Yeah, I'd heard about that. I just hadn't heard any more about it, really. But I have heard.
Now,
That
I
was real
know
good news.
T-Mobile
Go ahead,
I'm
Dennis.
sorry.
No, I was just going to say that what that news that Brendan brought about them reopening up public schools here shortly is awfully good news. That that'll go a long way toward solving that problem. The problem is as much the kids as it is the adults in the room coming down with it. As I understand it, and I'm sure that once we get the vaccine, that that'll go a long way toward helping. You might think of a vaccine as a real shot in the arm. Sorry.
Back me up, Dennis.
But that is good news about the reopening of the school.
I would appreciate it if you guys in your travels run, if you're talking with any of these type of companies, find out if they have special programs, and things of that nature. What has really captured my heart on this is I saw a news report, and it showed a boy, probably about 10 years old, working with his 8-year-old sister and 6-year-old brother, and looks like they're sitting outside a library somewhere trying to do schoolwork. Not a chair that they could sit at, not a table or anything like that. They're sitting on the concrete outside of this building trying to do schoolwork. That's a mind that's seeking knowledge. There's a lot of minds out there that don't seek the knowledge, but there were 3 there. And there's probably so many others out there that don't even have that or can't even get to a place like that. So it would be nice to, if we can't fix it at our level, and I'm sure we probably will struggle mightily with this, we ought to talk with the county about it. We also ought to talk with the state. The state needs to jump in here and do something with this, because if this continues much longer, we will lose a generation. They'll forget about school. They'll forget about studying, and then the social burden of them will be so much greater than if we had done something up front.
The temporary solution really is Wi-Fi hotspot. I mean, the problem with that is that if I was to say create a Wi-Fi hotspot with my connection, which is very good, but you get 20, 30 computers on my bandwidth, it's going to slow everything down. And but it is an option, if you purchase a few connections or routers or whatever with dedicated connections and just provide some free hotspots located around various parts with businesses or whatever.
Yeah,
then you can allow with some range around the premise. Then you can allow other people to tap into your Wi-Fi pretty successfully. But you're still going to have the bandwidth issue regardless.
Okay.
Bill?
Ready.
Bill?
Yes, Randy.
Could I beg the group's indulgence and go back and make a community announcement?
Sure.
Okay. Hopefully you're all aware of the exotic feline breeding compound in Roseland. I happen to be a member. I also make donations to them, like they feed the cats on Christmas Eve treats of chickens and turkeys, and I donate those and so on. Anyway, they, like many other groups, are hurting for funds. They weren't able to do their Twilight tours and their feline follies this year, and so they're trying to do fundraising. They're about $60,000 in the hole. So they have all kinds of things set up. You can go to their website, which is cathouse-fcc.org, but they've got all kinds of things. If you're a Ralph Club member, you can donate that way. The Amazon Smile program, which is when you buy things through Amazon, you can actually designate they go through, a portion of that goes to a particular charity and so on. They've got a GoFundMe page set up. They've got all kinds of funding that they're trying to raise. I'm also looking into seeing if we can't get some kind of an estimate as what it would take to get solar out there, because their bill is about $6,000 plus a month for electricity alone, because they have to freeze and keep frozen all the food for all the cats and everything like that. But if you could spread the word, the exotic feline breeding compound could really use people's help. And I know they're not the only ones, but I just kind of wanted to highlight that it's kind of a unique place to Rosemont, and they all their money that's donated goes towards it. They've only got relatively few paid staff members, and then the rest of them are volunteers and interns and so on. So, and they do a lot of good work. So if you could just kind of spread the word, they're on Facebook. There's just about anything you can think of, but especially going to their website, they show all the different ways you can donate or help raise funds for them.
Randy, is that related to COVID, or have they been kind of losing funding for a while now?
Oh, no, it's directly relative to COVID. No, they were fine before. And so they haven't been able to have visitors.
Right.
They are talking about opening up maybe one day a week. But yeah, it's all due to COVID, that they have had to shut down and they couldn't do their twilight tours and their feline follies and so on, which are their main sources of donations and revenue and so on. So no, it's not been an issue before COVID.
So are they in the negative, or do they have a cushion to get through the COVID period?
Well, they're trying to raise $60,000. The GoFundMe page so far has got about $10,000 in donations. I've talked to them and I've worked with them and so on. It turns out GoFundMe does take a fairly good chunk of money when you donate that way. So if you wanted to donate to them directly, you could do that. Christy Kriega is the general manager. And she's one of the staff members and so on. So, but you can contact them out there if you wanted to donate something to them directly to them. I've taken a check directly to them. You can do it that way too.
Well, if our CSD hadn't doubled my property taxes this month, I would be right out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Thank you.
I think we're all done with the meeting tonight. I need a motion to adjourn.
Well, there's one more thing that I want to bring up. You know, at the beginning of January, that's usually when the new members are sworn in, or the ones that are returning are sworn in again. I'm not sure how that's going to work. We probably need to talk to the county and find out how that's supposed to work with our current situation.
Okay.
You just need to stop swearing, Dennis.
The only hobby I got.
Okay. Well, duly noted. Adjournment. Motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. Lisa gets first. I'll take second.
It sounds good, Brennan.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Stephanie.
Good night.
Good night.